I had to pare down what I wanted to talk about today, but I wanted to get into branding. This is an area that is a little bit more advanced. This is not necessarily something that you want to worry about as much when you're first starting out. This is something for people who are kind of at that executive to silver transition period, and maybe silver and above. Definitely some of the stuff will matter, but there are still some things if you're just starting out that will set you off on the right foot. Just don't become overwhelmed by feeling like, oh, I have to have all these things perfect. Perfect is the enemy of good enough, and good enough is what you got to aim for sometimes just to get some momentum in your business. All right, here we go. So this is what I call the superhero strategy. So what I consider the 5 elements of super branding would be the suit, the story, the superpowers, the sidekick, and the super tools. Let me tell you what I mean by this. So with superheroes, we've got this suit on. The suit is what makes a superhero identifiable, and we want to super brand ourselves. So we want things like insignia and logo, our colors, which we want to be consistent across all bits and pieces that we create, although it doesn't have to be on every single post we create, but things like the channels, like your YouTube channel, and if you have a Facebook group, and if you create certain promos you might want to have branded with your own logo or design, things that identify this as something that you created and help you set yourself apart and stand up and kind of bring your whole look and brand and business to the next level is what we're after here. Think about it as the packaging, how you package your message, how you package your posts, how you package your graphics and things like that. If you think about the insignias of a superhero like Batman and Superman, that's their calling card. In fact, it's really a beacon that they send out into the sky for calling Batman. It's a visual symbol of what you represent. And so if you do come up with a logo, you want it to be something that kind of embodies your meaning or your message or your values, has some of your colors in them, maybe some of your fonts if it's got words in it. And so you want to pick fonts that also convey your meaning. And if you want some information about, I've got a blog post on goldcrushermarketing.com/blog. I've got a post on 5 fonts you should avoid and which ones to use. And I talk about how to find good fonts for your brand. So that's something you can check out later. Okay, so when you're picking brand colors, I mentioned at our last meeting, there's a great tool out there, ColorHex and coolers.co are great places to mess around finding colors. But I want to go a little bit more in depth in picking brand colors. So you want to find something that works with your vibe, with your message. And a good place to look is, looking at Superman. He's got a primary blue color, and then he's got a little bit of red that's a secondary color, and then an accent color. You want to pick 3 to 5 colors. And even in your 3 to 5 colors, you still want to have one that's main, secondary, and accent. And you can see I do this in my own. You can see the yellow in my sidebar here. That's my main color in my brand, and black is the secondary, and then my accent color is this blue. It's a common element in brand design. You'll see it all over the place when you look at products and other brands. The other thing is thinking about your brand in terms of packaging. And I'm using this as a metaphor. I don't actually mean your packaging because you're selling, in this case, Young Living products. I mean anything that you create, any content you create, any space that you take up online, such as your Facebook groups. You want to have it stamped with your look, your voice, your colors, your fonts. All those online elements you want to have across anything that you create. If you create a lead magnet or some training, things like that. If you create an event, it could be just as simple as just watermarking it with a logo or just using a consistent set of 3 fonts or 3 colors. You don't have to go all out. It depends on what level you're at and how far you want to take this. Next element is your story. We talked a little bit about this at the last Diamond Rising meeting. I specifically mean your origin story. And so superheroes have these great origin stories that tell you about what kind of challenge they went through that brought them to who they are. And that's what you want to have as part of your brand. What is your niche? What is your position? And I'll talk a little bit more about position later. For some of you, might have a unique situation, like somebody has had an illness in the family, and you want to show how you use your product to overcome that. And that's part of your story of how you maybe started your business, or how you finally, got involved in using your oils. Doing an origin story helps people identify with you and how you solved your problem, and therefore how you can solve their problem. Within your story, there's a villain. Every hero has a villain. Your villain's the problem that you're saving people from. We talked a little bit about this, how we want to be not talking about features, but we want to talk about benefits, and your benefits are your problem solvers. So if we think of some of the heroes and villains out there in the marketing world, we've got Jillian Michaels, fitness guru, and her villain is bad health. The hero in this case for skill set learning are the For Dummies book series, and the villain would be the difficult skills that are out there, and maybe even the competition of more challenging books that are out there and courses that are hard to follow or too expensive to get access to. In the finance world, we've got Dave Ramsey as a hero, and the villain would be wasted money or debt, really, to be more accurate. In the self-improvement world, we've got Tony Robbins, and the villain would be bad habits. So in our Young Living business, a good example would be, if you know Emily Newell, I believe she talks a lot about Young Living oils for dogs. So it's kind of like dog health is her big unique selling proposition. And that's kind of what she goes after in her message, in her positioning. A lot of you use chemical-free living, and you should all talk about chemical-free living. It's one great aspect of Young Living to go into. However, you want to be careful about if you're considering making that your unique positioning, because there's already some people that have done that. So if you're going to take that, like I know, Mary Salentine is one of the most well-known people as far as chem-free living. We all want to have classes around that, but as far as if you're going to make that your thing, then you got to find a spin on that thing. So you have to take it one level deeper and look at what is your unique selling proposition on that. USP, we call that in marketing. Positioning is the unique space that you occupy in your market or network. It's what sets you apart from everyone else. And so taking it back to this superhero analogy, Iron Man and Tony Stark are, he's cocky, he's high tech, he's not a team player. You can couple that with, or you could put that against Captain America, who is more down to earth, he's low tech, he's old school, he's old fashioned, he's a team leader. In the DC Comics world, we've got Superman, he's the do-gooder, he's the Boy Scout, he serves truth, justice, and the American way. And then you can pit that against Batman, who's dark and brooding, and he's got all these psychological scars. All of his villains, if you haven't noticed this theme already, they all are some kind of psychological problem. They all have mental issues of some kind personified. So you want to think about what sets you apart. What is your positioning? And a good way to remember how to do this is, you're in a market that's saturated, the health market for one thing, but also even within Young Living, there's so many different people that are all kind of saying some of the same things. And so what makes you unique is going to be largely being you. And here's a great way to think about this. Think about Gold's Gym. You think about them, they're these big, beefy, muscly guys, and it's a very intimidating place to enter into. If you look at their logo, they're lifting so much weight that the weight is bending. And, your average person's just not going to want to go into that place. And so they're going to want an alternative. Remember, you might have a strong product, or you might be good for most people, but you're not great for everyone, and that's okay. There's got to be an alternative. There might be people out there that are great for most people, but you're going to be the right person for some people. And so you've got a place in the market, even if it's saturated. Now, if we look at Planet Fitness, if you're familiar with this one, this is more the average Joe's fitness place, the person who would not want to go into Gold's Gym. I believe they have something called the lunk alarm, where if you grunt too loud, there's a sound, like a decibel meter, that sets off an alarm, and it kind of embarrasses you for grunting too much. They want to avoid that kind of machismo, that kind of meathead attitude over there. They're so down to earth about their fitness. They want you to be fit and healthy, but they take into consideration that we're just regular people. And so they offer things like pizza and donut days. That's a completely unique positioning. Next up, the element is superpowers. Your superpowers are your personality traits. This all falls into positioning. Your challenges and weaknesses, the things that you've overcome, and even the things that maybe are still a struggle for you are a great part of your branding to include. Your values. What are you all about? What matters most to you? And then your skills and strengths. What can you do that other people can't do? What's different about you that sets you apart from the pack? In branding, you want to always be yourself, but you want to be striving to be a better you. There's that famous saying, always be yourself unless you can be Batman, then always be Batman. Now, to develop your superpowers, you need to think of who do you want to become? You want to be yourself, but you also want to think, where do I want to be? And there's a difference I've found, especially when I did this survey recently on what challenges young living people face. There are these behaviors and mindsets. Largely, it's mindset between people who are in lower ranks and people in higher ranks. It's not that these people here kept the same mindset and then worked and became higher level. They all started here, and they took some steps to intentionally change things about themselves, their behaviors and their mindsets, and they reframed things, and they changed their minds and shaped themselves to become who they needed to be. Jim Rohn, famous marketing business personality, had said, your level of success will seldom exceed your level of personal development. And Hal Elrod, author of Miracle Morning, says, in order to achieve level 10 success in our lives, we must first develop ourselves to become a level 10 person who is capable of attracting, creating, and sustaining the levels of success that we want in every area of our life. So in your business, a lot of you are finding quick, explosive growth, and a lot of you don't have backgrounds in marketing or business, may not be organized people, may not be structured in your life. And all of a sudden, you're just exploding with this newfound success and a big team, and you don't have management training, and you don't have a degree in these things. And that is okay. But it's not okay to just say, well, this is my business, I'll run it the way I want, and I don't need these things. You want to be open-minded to what are the things that I can do, the skills that I need, and start pulling those in and figuring out how to do them. And you got to get creative. It's going to mean things like this webinar you're on right now tonight. It's going to mean reading. It's going to mean a lot of different things. And let me go into detail about what kind of things you can do to develop these powers. First, I want to interject that Batman has no superpowers. He's just a dude in a suit. When I was a kid, I watched the Batman cartoons, and I remember there was kind of this like montage where it showed him as a scrawny teenager, and then he was like lifting weights and doing pull-ups, and I was just thinking like, wow, that's how he became Batman. But a lot of it was also his mindset, his training, and his cool tools. And we'll talk about different tools in a little while. But, you want to have this thought of, I can be like this person. You want to find people who are doing what you want to do and are successful, and you want to emulate them. So as I said before, to develop your brand, especially if you want to become a thought leader, you must develop yourself and your skills. You got to bridge that gap from where you are to where you want to go, and to who you are, to who you want to become. And the best way is to copy the greats. The behaviors of the high achievers is a thing that I'm very, very interested in. I read a ton of books on this. I love self-improvement books. I've got a huge library of audiobooks for this very reason. I'm just really obsessed with what are the behaviors and activities of high achievers. And so I'm going to include some of those in here. Some things that I've done myself to change who I am, because I wasn't always a very confident speaker. I did like the spotlight, and I liked being in front of a lot of people, but I wasn't always very confident one-on-one with people. I didn't do eye contact. I didn't really have that in my family growing up, and I just thought that was normal. And then I realized that's kind of off-putting to people. So I intentionally did things like changed my eye contact behaviors. I learned how to do small talk, things like that. I learned a bunch of different social skills and social behaviors. I had to be very intentional about the way I spoke, about my gestures, about my body posture. These are all things that you can change. You don't have to be stuck the way you are. If you're nervous around people, that is something you can change. If you don't think you're good on video, that is something you can change. If you have a negative or depressing mindset, those are all things you can change. Your brain physically can change when you set up habits. So here are some of the behaviors of top performers. They exercise. If you look around at high-ranking officials, politicians, CEOs, and of course, celebrities, they exercise. It reduces stress, improves their mood. It gives you more energy to achieve more in a day. And the best part is you come up with a lot of great ideas when you work out. I cannot stress enough. When you work out, there's so many things that happen. So if you want to change some other behaviors, let's say you had a bunch of habits you want to change about your life, like maybe it was some eating habits, and also you wanted to sleep more, and also you want to cut down on your debt, and maybe cut down on drinking, and you wanted to, let's say you wanted to travel more. Let's say there's a bunch of different things you want to change. For me, among those lists, there's also I wanted to read my Bible more, and I wanted to avoid being up late. And I found that exercise was the only behavior that I had to change all of those other things, because they all fell in line. When I was working out more, I had to get up early in the morning. Getting up early in the morning meant that I was tired from getting up early, but also from working out at the end of the day. It also meant that I needed more fuel, so I started looking into what would give me more fuel. Otherwise, I was feeling drained, and I was more hungry for certain types of food and less hungry for junk. And so it automatically corrected a lot of my eating behaviors. This started to have a compound effect of also affecting my well-being and mood, which made me more productive, which made me more successful at work, which made me more successful in my relationships, which made me happier. It's just what they call a virtuous cycle. It also made me more satisfied. So I was spending less. I didn't feel the need to go out and buy things to make me happy. And therefore, I was saving money and not going into more debt. And I was paying off more debt as a result. So if you want to really change and grow as a person, this is a great place to start. And it's key to be consistent. Top performers also think differently because they intentionally learned how to change their thinking. I just talked about this a moment ago, but here's what I mean. They see problems as challenges and opportunities. So if there's a roadblock or something that looks like they cannot go forward, they get creative instead of giving up. This is really important. And I know a lot of people who, as soon as they see a challenge, they go, oh, well, it must not have been meant to be. Or they say, maybe God didn't want this. And I used to think like that a lot. But the truth is, sometimes you just need to face that challenge or face a failure and then change something about your approach. And you'll find that you're more successful, or you'll adapt or find a new skill in the process that you needed. Whereas if you had been successful and smoothly just moved forward with whatever you're trying to do, you wouldn't have learned what you needed at that level of success. Also, they take responsibility for their lives. They do not make excuses. A lot of things happen to us. A lot of things happen in our lives. There's a lot of reasons why we can't do this. Okay, we have kids, so it's really hard to plan classes, and it's really hard to do this, and I don't have time to learn these things, and I have to cook, and I got to clean, and the car just died. I need money for this, so I can't spend it on that. If you really want something in life, you just get creative. You can't make excuses. You have to look at other places where your time, your energy, or your finances are going, and you have to redistribute them or borrow from them, even if it takes time to save up for certain things, or you get rid of something. You got to make sacrifices. For me, it's television. I wanted a life that was better than TV shows. I love TV. I love Netflix. I love movies. But you know what? I want to live a life that is bigger and better than the shows I watch. And so that had to go. Now, every now and then I might fold some laundry and watch something, but it's pretty rare. I couldn't tell you the last time I did it. The other thing is, top performers create habits that serve their goal. When you look at people who do things like get up early every morning and work out and eat well, blah, 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 you might look at them and think, oh, I don't have that kind of discipline. My friends at work say that to me all the time. Oh man, I just wish I was that disciplined. I'm going through a 3-month change in my diet, and I already have a really strict diet. I eat really well, but now I have to cut out healthy foods because I'm finding that they have something called salicylates that exacerbate my eczema. And so for 3 months, I have to cut out some of my favorite things like avocado, spinach, almond milk, blueberries, which makes up my smoothies. Had made up my smoothies in the past. And now I have to eat bland things like iceberg lettuce, legumes, chickpeas, although I don't mind hummus, and these gross things called mung beans, and drink a lot of rice milk with, bone broths and things like that for 3 months. But that 3 months will be over. And then I will be able to eat whatever I want. I should be able to cure myself. Now, my point in saying all this is, yeah, it takes a little bit of discipline initially to not eat some things. And you don't need any superhuman discipline. You simply need to have a little burst of a discipline just at the beginning until that thing takes over and becomes a habit, like working out. It was really hard to get up at 5:30 at first. That's all I had to do, though, was just get up early. So I set up some things in place, like putting my gym clothes out. I had my smoothies pre-made in the morning. I had my shoes by my bed. All those things were put in place, so I didn't need the discipline to get all those things together in the morning and scramble. The habit was there of just putting those things in my bed every morning. And then a little bit of discipline of just seeing them, getting them on, and getting out the door. That became a habit after about a week or so. And then there was no more discipline involved. So these habits become automatic and effortless. And that is where you find the most growth. Not in discipline, because your discipline and your will wear out. It's like a muscle that tires. Next element of superhero branding is sidekicks. Sidekicks can be so many things. Team members like Brittany and Jen, they've got Lavender and Grace. Or you see Mary and Beth have Oily TV, or the Oily team, which is oftentimes Crystal and Mary. You could partner up with team members and you can build a brand that way. You could also think of sidekicks as your paid assistants that help you get your branding together. They help you do your work. They help you get further in your business. Sidekicks are your housekeeping services, things that allow you to focus on your business instead of focusing on the lower, not really the things that are not income producing for you, but need to be done. And one of my favorite sidekicks, I think of this as, instead of the Batman and Robin approach of having a sidekick, I think of like the Iron Man and Jarvis, the automated system approach. Automation. Like Tony Stark with Jarvis, a lot of us need to have systems in place. And I am huge on automated systems. I've got a ton of them in my life because I'm a solo dad. I've got a full-time job that I'm trying to work out of doing in short order. I also teach on the side. I volunteer and play music at church. And I'm a very busy person. I got a house to take care of by myself. I have a ton of systems in place that make this possible. Here are some things that you can automate. Your member signups can be automated. Instead of having a class and a piece of paper, it is actually possible. And if you'd like, you can hit me up and I can show you or do it for you. There's a fee for this, but I can show you how to create a landing page. It's just a page you pull up on your laptop or your iPad or whatever you have at a class, at an event or whatever. And then they just type their name first and last and their email. And then you can have it automatically feed into your email campaign, which is something that you can set up a sequence for, pre-write it, and it can go out to people in a timed drip fashion. You can drip out different content to them, different messages to them, all kinds of different things. And you can do this with Marketing Sense. A lot of people are frustrated by how you have to type in all the information in Marketing Sense, but you really don't have to. There is a technical way of doing this behind the scenes. It involves a little technical know-how, but once again, it's something you can do. Similarly, you can do customer follow-up. You can create a sequence of emails. This is something that Brittany and Jenna and I are working on. Actually, next week, we're going to put together a sequence of emails that will onboard their team And there's so many other things you can do besides onboarding your team. You can do things like, you have the same questions you're asked all the time in your business. Things like, how do I clean a diffuser? What oils should I use for, this? What can I do with my kit I just got? How do I sign up? How do I send somebody my link to sign up? If they're new. Those are like quick videos you could pre-make. And then you could create an email sequence that tells everybody when they sign up, maybe day by day or once a week, these little bits of information that you're tired of talking about all the time. The questions, think about the things that you're asked frequently in your business and automate the answers to those and have a place where they can always go to them later on if they forget too. So for that, I have a file vault. I use Google Drive, and, I'll show you my Google Drive if there's time. It's very well structured. It serves my purposes for my businesses very well. And it's a system that is really useful if you're a network marketer. You can also automate your finances. I have my direct deposit, which you can do direct deposit in Young Living, going to two different bank accounts. One is a credit union that's local, and the other one is an online account that I access with a debit card and online banking. And the two different accounts have two different purposes. I know the exact amount I need for bills, my mortgage, and my car payment every month. It never changes. So I put that exact amount into my credit union, and I set a date for each one of those things to get paid, and they get paid automatically, and I never even have to look at it. And there's a little bit of buffer in there, and I even have a little bit for savings. And so it withdraws a little bit and puts it in a savings account. So I never have to think about saving money because I'm terrible. I am awful at saving money. So automation for finances. The other thing you can do is you can automate training. That should say lead magnets, not lead magents. Lead magnets are things that are like the freebies you sign up for to, you put in your email, that kind of thing to get a freebie. You can use lead magnets when you're at an event, like sign up to win, XYZ, or you can say, get my recipe for, and if you have some kind of product on display, like let's say it's like I just made today, I made a DIY pomade with shea butter and beeswax and some essential oils and some vitamin E oil. If I was doing an event, I could have those on display, have those as giveaways, but then I can also say, get the recipe for this, just sign up. And so you can create a form, and that's a lead magnet. It gets leads. All those things can be automated. Super tools. This is the area where I didn't get to finish my presentation. Sorry, everybody. So super tools are going to be the things like a web page. It's going to be landing pages, which are the forms with opt-ins that I just discussed a little bit ago. Things like email marketing campaigns. Also, it's things like oily tools. Those are the things that I notice differentiate people who are beginning in their business and people who are past a certain point in their business. They start to get these tools. You can develop your strength and your what I call superpowers, but there's a certain point where you need to go beyond where you can go on your own. Think about an astronaut, or I guess, staying with the superhero theme. Think about Iron Man. Tony Stark can't fly on his own, but with this suit, with this tool, he's able to shoot lasers out of his hands and fly around. So you need to have tools that can get you further than what your own human efforts can. And that I was discussing actually a couple of weeks ago with Crystal Hoskins is one of the big differences between, say, somebody who is a senior star and somebody who is silver. Now, to wrap up my presentation, I'm going to switch screens for a second. I want to tell you a little story because I like stories. I feel like it's one of the best ways to teach. So there once was a woman whose daily path came to an underwater cave. To reach the other side, she had to take a deep breath, plunge beneath the water, and swim through the underwater passage. There was only enough time to swim straight for the other side. Any lingering within the cave, and she would drown. The woman carried on this way her entire life. Although she became well acquainted with the turtles and pale pebbles of this one cavern's floor, this is all she ever knew. Another woman, too, had an underwater cave to swim each day. She wanted to go deeper and explore further, so after a few weeks, she bought some scuba gear and a tank of oxygen. She did this not only to secure her passage, but to create time enough to explore the underwater side passages that intrigued her. Thus equipped, she explored these passages until she came to a cavern as immense as a city, its roof upheld by massive limestone pillars. In the bottom of the cavern, she found an old chest full of gold and silver. She used the treasure to buy a better mask and fins, and a larger oxygen tank, which allowed her to explore further still. In time, she discovered a vast underwater network of caves, each cavern stranger and more beautiful than the last. Most people live like the first woman, with only enough income to gasp their way to the next paycheck. Although you can find joy and beauty and a meaning in any circumstance, to reach those deeper, more exotic caves, we must invest in new tools. You must invest in yourself so you can invest in others. Got it. All right, everybody.
Glenn, Magdalena's asking if there is a tutorial for how to use Canva.
I am making one, and it is going to be very in-depth. I am super fast with Canva. This presentation I made within the last, 2 hours. And there's a lot of design elements that went into that. But, you think about, some of you probably spend like 2 hours on one graphic for, your posts. I can whip up a graphic really fast. Some of it is knowing graphic design elements, which I will teach. Mm-hmm. Some of it is just really knowing the shortcuts in Canva. And a lot of it is setting up templates and your brand colors and fonts and stuff like that. And I will show you how to upload your own fonts, even how to find fonts, because there's only a few in Canva. So yeah, in the upcoming month or two, I will be having a Canva training.
Wow.
So give us some insight on your story. Love the story, by the way, but give us a little bit of tie it in a little bit in case anybody was confused.
My story, the last story I told?
Yeah, I liked that.
So yeah, the story, you can take that story as an analogy for, what we're all doing with our business, which is we want to create a better life for ourselves. And so instead of just doing the same thing all the time and just getting by with one lungful, we're developing this business and doing more than your average person. Mm-hmm. And it's to create a sort of freedom to do more with our lives and help more people. But also within your business, even some of you are just really struggling with the same skill sets that you've always had and the same tools you've always been using and what you've always known. And that will get you far, no doubt. Hard work will get you far, but you're going to hit a level where you're going to find it's hard to grow and get to the next rank without changing a few things, especially your mindset, the tools you use. And at a certain level, it's going to be things like bringing in help or learning more things. If for some of the people who are at a certain level of leadership, I'm starting to design websites that do certain things for them. I've got a client who she's got a store. You may know Rachel. She's got a store. And she also has Young Living, and she wants to, her store sells roller bottles for Young Living products and essential oil related things. And she had a blog as well. And so she was able to grow both businesses through blogging, but she didn't have them in one place. And so I'm putting that together. So she has a place where people can sign up, buy the bottles, and they can read her blog. And so it's all encompassing. So the other tool that I'm helping people with is email marketing, because Marketing Sense is good for teaching people about product, but it is not good for conveying your unique voice.
Yeah, does not have, it's like everyone's got the same emails and everyone looks the same, and it drives me nuts. I hate Marketing Sense.
And so there's alternatives.
I can't talk enough about how much I hate it.
A lot of people like it, and it does have its values. Like Crystal said, she used it for teaching people about products, and it's kind of what roped her in and got her to learn more about the product. But beyond that, you want it to do more, and it just isn't capable of doing more. And so it doesn't do much in the way of a website. It doesn't do much in the way of getting into people's inboxes. Some of the marketing language is really generic, or actually is going to land in your promotions tab. I don't know if you all know this, but if you're not a Gmail user, you don't know about this, but a lot of, I would say all Marketing Sense emails wind up in my promotions tab. You have your primary, and then you might have social, and then promotions. And what's happening is Gmail has an algorithm that looks for keywords in the subject lines and also what people have reported to determine whether or not something is a promotional email versus a personal or wanted email. And so you can actually go in your promotions tab, look for ones you want, click on them, and just literally drag them over. Or you can right click on them and you can select send to primary. There's a lot of different ways you can do this. But as somebody sending the emails, you need a way to make sure that your emails will actually get seen and not land in the junk or spam or promotions tabs. And there are methods of doing this. Unfortunately, Marketing Sense doesn't avoid those things that would land them there. They actually do a ton of them. Like things like when you put free in all caps in your subject line, that's guaranteed pretty much you're going to wind up in the promotions or junk tabs. Bonus, there's a bunch of words. I think I have a blog post about this too. There's at least a video. Yeah, there's a video on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/goalcrushermarketing, I think is what it is. So you can learn about different things you can do to avoid that. But the best thing you can really do is create your own email sequences through something like ConvertKit. And that's what I use. That's what Brittany and Jen and I will be using.
Mm-hmm. Does anybody have any questions about like creating a brand or automating systems? I mean, this is definitely content that will be useful for those of you once you get to be executive and above, if you're not at executive and above yet. But if you are at executive above, these are things that you should be thinking about. But I mean, branding is one thing, but automation is something that anybody could think about right away from the beginning, because as soon as you automate stuff, it's just going to be so much easier for you as you grow to be able to handle large growth in your organization. That's something that I wish Jen and I would have figured out from the get-go, was automating stuff, but it's something that we never really even thought about or even knew how to do.
Yeah, there's going to be a level where your business grows where you need it to scale. Like the things you do won't scale up.
Right. Because you can't spend all your time answering the same questions over and over and over again. You just will not have the time for that. Like, so you have to figure out a way to automate stuff. So yeah. Alrighty. Well, if somebody's trying to talk, it's just candy wrappers.
Oh, I did say I could show people my Google Drive setup.
Yes, I want to see that, because Google, I don't even know how you would go about organizing any of that stuff. And Glenn, you would probably puke if you saw what my desktop and all of that looks like, because it pretty much drives Anthony bonkers, like up the wazoo. Like, he can't handle it. And I make just as big of a mess on my account on his computer as I do on my own laptop. So some days I go to open up his computer and log in to my profile, and all of my stuff is gone because he just dragged all into a file because he couldn't handle looking at my desktop anymore.
Yeah, the thing is, in your business, you want to do things task-wise quicker. People are going to ask you questions. You want to send them content really fast. If you don't know where it is, you're wasting a lot of time, and you're going to end up getting distracted and forget what you're doing, I find.
Yep. That's what I do every day, Glenn.
Yeah, and so if you want to do more in a day and become more productive, you may want to take some point, either hire an assistant or do it yourself to create structures, file structures. So
I need to hire somebody to organize my computer.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Do you do that?
I can definitely do that. That is actually something I set up for people. Some of my clients have, I've set up Google Drive structures. So let me show you mine.
Okay, I want to see this.
Organize my business. Let's go back to screen sharing. So my Drive is a set of, up top, they created this thing called Quick Access, which is the things I've most recently gone through. Over here, there's things that were shared with me, recent things I've worked on, photos, anything you star that's important. I should probably use that. I haven't been using that. And of course, the trash. Now over here, can you see my cursor moving?
Yep.
Okay, good. So over here, we've got different, I guess what I would call priority folders. I've numbered them. I've actually named them with 0, 1, 0, 2, etc. And so Gold Crusher Marketing is what I spend the most time working on. Second to that is my Young Living email automation course I'm working on and some other things that are in there. And so I'm not going to show you everything that's in there, but I also work on my own music marketing. And then I've got my other brand, I Am an Orchestra, which is all my music tutorials and stuff. Project I was doing where I was recording an album. Hot Rod Rex is a relative of mine who we're going to be working on creating a YouTube channel for him so he can do sort of a thought leader branding kind of thing and monetize through YouTube ads. So that's all his assets. But I'll go into mine. So here's Gold Crusher Marketing. And I'll probably number these at some point if this list of folders gets too big. But I have what I call Kenny logins, which is a joke that's dating myself. But it's basically all of my logins for everything. And I will show it really quick and then I'll close it really quick. It is literally a list of my logins for every website that I need for my business that I can quickly go to. And that includes affiliate marketing links.
That's smart because Jen and I are always messaging each other. Hey, do you have the login for the Zoom? Hey, what's the login for our website? Hey, I forgot. What's the login for this?
So I already created a shared file for you two that has the logins that I use for your branding.
Yeah, actually, Glenn has all the logins. So just message him if we don't know anymore.
You can view that at any time, though. It's shared with you so that you can see what they are. I put everything I have of yours in one place. And I do that for all of my clients so that they know how to find all their assets later on.
I'll pass over to doing a security presentation tomorrow. Passwords.
All right, so then I have a folder for client work. Within that, I've got my different clients, and within, say, my different clients, let's take a look at, here's a good one. Okay, so like I'm working with Rachel on our website, and so I have website assets, login credentials. This one's actually not as fleshed out because we're in the early stages of it, but I have pages one where what was that?
I don't know. We're getting really weird sounds.
Yeah, that was like a quacking sound. Okay, here's a better example. So Crystal Hoskins' website that I'm working on. I've got her credentials and affiliate links, and then her brand elements. So this has her brand board, which is going to have all the colors and logos. We've still got to establish some of those. But then also the logos she already has. I meant colors and fonts, not colors and logos.
Nice.
So I have all these files in one place so I can quickly access them. And they're also in my Canva as well. So those are ready to go when I want to make a design.
Yes. And Canva, you should mention the whole fact that Canva, if you get the professional version of Canva, you can have all of your logos, your font, everything right there in your brand.
You guys want to see mine? Let's check it out.
And so it makes it so easy to stay consistent when you're making graphics with your logo, your font, like everything.
Here, you can see mine. So I've got different folders, one for Crystal, one for Gold Crusher Marketing, one for Hey Nana, which is a local food truck I'm working on. Hot Rod Rex I mentioned already. My I'm an Orchestra stuff. There's the lavender&grace one. Let me look in there real quick. So these are all the thumbnails I made for their videos that I helped them work on. And if we go to my main site, let's go to your brand. You can see I've got my I Am an Orchestra palette. These are all the colors for that brand. The lavender&grace palette. Gold Crusher's colors. I am the marketing manager at my 9-to-5 job. And so these are all the different colors we use in our brochures, which is a lot of.
That's a lot.
These are the Rachel's Gray Sky Matters colors. So all the different palettes. Then I got to change this because I'm actually switching it around. This should actually be the other way around. This has been frustrating me for a while, so let's fix it right now. I was working on my presentation and this kept doing this to me. I want Montserrat to be my main. I can't find it. All right, I'll do that my own time. So the headings default to Bebas Nue, which is actually supposed to be my subheading font. I'm going to change that later. You can set those so that they come up automatically. And then you can upload your own fonts, which is super awesome. So, for instance, has this Big John, and they couple it with Slim Joe. And so whenever I'm making graphics for them, those are my choices. At work, all the body text is Corona 1. That's all over their website instead of using the standard Arial. There's Lavender and Grace, macarons, bold, light, and I think this is called Anter.
Yep, something like that.
Yeah. So you're not stuck with what's in here. And then I'll be doing this a little bit more in the future, but you can create templates. They give you some that are preloaded I don't care for, but I'm going to put my own in here so I can just get started faster. Because if you look, all the presentations that I've been doing lately have been based off of a sort of design template I came up with a while ago. If you look at my different products or presentations, they've got this kind of theme going on. Design element of whatever it loads, 3 icons, a title, my logo, and a subheading with a blue band. And so I'll show you one other example of that so you get the point. This is the one we did for Diamond Rising Marketing Guide, but also a course I'm actually working on, a copywriting crash course. This is for online entrepreneurs and network marketers. It just teaches you a bit about editing the things you say and also just how to write better for promotions, for graphics, etc. Yeah. All right, I'm done sharing my screen.
Great way to automate for sure.
Yeah.
Make things faster. All right. Does anybody have any questions? Magdalena did say, I would love to learn how to automate emails. It's so time consuming to do individually. So I know you're coming out with a whole system on a whole course on how to automate your emails and all that stuff and set all that up, right, Glenn? That's what you're working on?
Yes, among a million things, that is what I'm working on.
He's going to be launching that at some point in the future. Basically, it's going to be an online course for you to buy, and it's going to show you exactly how to do all of that. So for those people who are interested, stay tuned.
Do me a favor, if you're watching this and you want to be kept up to date on those things as they become available, like my facebook.com/goalcrushermarketing. That'll help me know who you are, who's interested, and I can say, here's some free things, because I'm going to be doing a lot of freebies first and foremost. So the free content will be very helpful. That's one of my big goals, is to give away most of the stuff for free, so you can say, oh my gosh, if this is what he's giving away for free, what is in his paid courses? So do that right now, facebook.com/goalcrushermarketing. Also, if you're not already friends on Facebook, I'm open to making new friends. So hit me up. Glenn Allen is my name.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Glenn. This was really informative and really good content. So thanks for sharing your wisdom with us all. And if you have questions for Glenn, friend him on Facebook, message him, comment underneath the posts that we both made in the different business pages so that you can connect with him, get your answers, because he is a wealth of knowledge, and it's definitely stuff that everybody can benefit from, because we need to be able to brand ourselves and automate ourselves so that we don't go crazy doing the same things over and over and over again.
Amen to that.
Right? And so it reminded me, when you were talking about that story, it reminded me of that quote. I think it's Albert Einstein, where it says, you do the same thing over and over and over again, and you expect a different result. Is that Albert Einstein? I think it
might be. And the end of that quote is something like, that's the definition of insanity.
Yep, definition of insanity, which is basically what Karina and I and Lori did at convention, because I'll make a long story short, but basically her trunk broke and it would not like lock. And so we kept smashing it, thinking that maybe it would lock. And it wouldn't, because it was broken. And we were like, okay, we're doing the same thing over and over again, thinking that it's going to eventually fix itself. But it doesn't. So you got to learn new skills and grow as a person and do things differently in order to succeed in what you want to succeed in.
That's right.
So, yeah. All right. Well, thanks, and have a great night, everybody.
Thank you all for watching.